Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever the time is. My name is Mark Zuberek, and I'm here for the Topics of the Town News to introduce the May 13th, 2024 Beverly Airport Commission meeting. As an introduction, what I'd like to do is give you a synopsis of what actually transpired and what was important to me because I'm a commentator on this particular show. So, good evening, and I am here to give you a message of what the Airport Commissioners meeting was like. And what I'll do is I'll show the Airport Commission meeting in its entirety right after this introduction. But the most important part of the meeting that was important to me was the public comment section, which general public comments, and then they have tenant comments. And the first segment of the meeting really pertains to hearing from the residents, abutters, and from the operations of the airport tenants. So I myself composed a entire 4-page public comment regarding what the issues I thought were happening at the time. And let me just give you a brief description, and you'll hear all of this on the actual presentation of the meeting itself. Every month, the public comment has been presented and has been discharged without a response or rejection of the public comments. My concern has been with every committee or elected positions like the Board of Selectmen and school committee and library trustees. I am very concerned that public comments are there for the airing of public input, but it doesn't go anywhere. I shall propose that at a minimum, the commission respond or discharge the comments and further at least act on the public comment requests. Every public comment has a message in there in regards to what the concerns are from the general public. And as long as the commission decides to listen, and they're very good about listening, but they're not very good about acting upon or discharging those particular comments, because what they do is they discharge them into the round file, and comments do not go any further. I have not heard a response to any of the previous meetings that I've attended that were in the formal session of the following meeting by the commissioners or the chairman of the commission. So that was the biggest item that I brought to the table. But I also, the public response is expected to the litany of points made and not addressed by the public process. The Airport Commission has an obligation to at least acknowledge that these comments are made, and if they want to let the public know that they're going to be ignored, please do so. The next item that I brought as a public comment is 191 Burley Street. That is a flight level aviation currently is in the process, or was in the process, of applying for a notice to proceed, a notice of intent to the Airport Commission of building and locating a jet airplane hangar. The hangar itself is located over and above the existing fuel depot that's located on the west side of the airport in Danvers. And it would need the fuel dispensary, to be relocated now even closer to the wetlands than previously determined to be adequate. The hangar itself is 135 feet wide, 300 feet long, and 45 feet high. The commission has permitted the developer or the operator, flight level aviation, to rent or lease the property that this will be located on. And it is at the end of the main runway towards the Wenham end. Now, that size of a facility looking over on top of a higher elevation than the homes that are below on 191 Beverly and other Beverly homes is going to be like putting a high-rise building inside of Danvers or Danvers Square. Now, we already know that high-rise buildings should not be built in the town of Danvers. We have residents that live close by. This facility was proposed to the Conservation Commission, and the Conservation Commission, in their wisdom, voted it down by a 3-0 vote. The planning board was supposed to be hearing a presentation from the site plan review process the following day, and that was delayed or deferred to June 11th. So coming up, we'll have some additional facilities that will be expected to develop and expand the jetport at the west end of Danvers, and they will be flying over Danvers residents and Danvers High School. This facility itself has been compared to what's going on at Hanscom Field. Hanscom Field is also experiencing such growth in incremental efforts of hangars and facilities to maintain and operate the jets that are located at Hanscom Field. Their effort is much bigger because they're further along in the development of the field. They're talking about 17 hangars that they want to build on that end. And there has been a significant demonstration of the general public to stop that effort because they cannot handle the noise and the impact to the residential areas.
All right, 6 o'clock. Call the meeting of the Beverly Airport Commissioners, and we will start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do calling of the roll. Commissioner Costello.
Present.
Commissioner Doxey.
Present.
Commissioner Kendrick.
Present.
Commissioner Lay. Present. And our new Commissioner, Commissioner Gillette.
Present.
And Commissioner Ritalik, I'm present, and we also have Commissioner Zuberek on live here on.
Just a fly on the wall.
Okay, but you are here, technically speaking, right? At the moment. All right. And then we will approve the minutes for April's meeting.
So moved. I'll make a motion.
We have a motion
Second.
from Commissioner Doxey and a second from Commissioner Kendrick. We vote on that. Commissioner Costello,
Hey.
Commissioner Doxey,
Yes.
Commissioner Kendrick, Commissioner Roulette, and abstain, and Commissioner Gillette is also abstain. All right. So the approval of the minutes for April 8th has been done. Okay, we'll move on to number 2, introduction of our new commissioner, Commissioner Robin Gillette. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for accepting my application for sitting here on this commission. I'm a lifelong resident of Beverly. I was saying earlier, I've had airplanes flying over my house all my life, so it's very comfortable with that. But I'm a retired school counselor from here in Beverly. I've served on several boards, so I hope that I can find some skill set that you guys will need or want from me, and I look forward to representing the residents of Beverly and Danvers. So thank you.
Well, all right. We will move on to public comments. Public comments. Anyone?
Am I the only one?
I don't know. You got Tony standing next to you too? I don't know.
I've been quick this week. This one. Hold your chair.
State your name for the record.
This is the hot seat.
This is the hot seat.
Mark Zuberek, resident of Danvers, the last 53 years. What I like to do is, I need to take the time to do this because it's important, and I have mentioned this before.
All right, just to remind you, we have 3 minutes on the timer.
You and your 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Every month, public comments has been presented, and it has been discharged without a response or even a rejection to the public. I shall propose that at a minimum, the commission respond or discharge the comments that are made by various residents, not just myself. I challenge to make a motion from the commissioners to accomplish such an item because it is very important for the residents to be included in the participation in this meeting. The motion I propose is the commission chairman shall respond and address the specific public comments presented. The commission shall respond by the next monthly meeting, whether it's a rejection, acceptance, or you're going to put it into the wastebasket. But I would like our commissioners, at least from the Danvers community, to make this type of a response to the comments of the Danvers residents. So I'm looking for any response from the from the commission, but I don't see anything right now. But
Well,
yes,
we're going to wait until
fine.
Mr. Zuber
That's
finishes his comments, then we'll go from there.
Public response is expected to the litany of points made in the past in addressing the public process. We appreciate the public comment that we are able to make because this is an opportunity for us to participate in your decisions. The third item that I have identified for myself to discuss with you or present to you is 191 Beverly Street in Danvers, which is the location of the two specific hangars or hangar that is being planned by Flight Level Aviation. The Conservation Commission on May 9th rejected the application for that hangar. The second meeting that's coming up is a site plan review, which is the planning side of the community actions in Danvers. That's being done tomorrow evening, and I would suggest that we curtail that meeting because Conservation Commission already rejected the application. Size, height, and impact to the Danvers west side of the significant concern. Expansion of facilities and runway length signals larger, heavier jet traffic. And we have reported jet traffic consistently for the last few months.
Mr. Zuber, we are at the 3 minutes. So
Larger
if you can-
at the foot,
excuse me, Mr.
the
Zuber, if you can
facility
wrap up.
is larger than
Mr.
300
Zuber,
feet long.
If you can wrap up in 30 seconds,
I will do
greatly
that.
appreciate that.
I will do that.
Respect this commission,
The
please.
facility is larger than a football field. The proposed facility is 135 feet wide, 300 feet long, and 45 feet high. Hanscom Field is also experiencing a similar expansion. So I hope that we do not become Hanscom Field and start having an expansion that's going to make this airport grow much larger. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber. Any other public comments? Tony?
That's fine.
All right.
I can work this one.
We'll move on to tenant comments. Anybody? Paul?
Sure. Just a quick comment to bring back to the surface something I raised a couple of years ago, and we discussed it. Anyway, the condition of the front porch area of Building 45 is a concern to me. Aesthetically, of course, next to our restaurant, next to my business, it's really rather shoddy. It's about to get worse as the growing season happens. It's going to grow in shortly. But also as a hazard and an insurance issue, I have hundreds of people visit my office immediately adjacent every week, and some kid's going to try to go up on that porch, and it's not stable anymore. So it should be probably brought back to the surface at some level for a discussion.
It just lets you know, Gabe and I have spoken about this within the past week. It is on the top list. It's definitely a safety concern of ours. We've been going in and out of 45 numerous times over the past month, and it is definitely on the top of our list.
That's my only thing. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Will you close it off?
We need to look at it. It's a little bit more extensive than just closing it off. Things are falling. And there's a tree growing in the center of it. It's a little bit more extensive than just closing it off, unfortunately. But we're looking into it, definitely.
Really, thank you so much.
Any other public comments? All right, so we will address Mr. Zuberek now. So in regards to the noise complaints, you put a request that we not put everything into the round file and get rid of it all. We have done that. We have turned that around and now taken every comment and complaint into consideration and put it into a spreadsheet and reached out to every complainer that has happened since January 1st. So I don't know what you want further from comments. We always take every comment into consideration greatly and discuss it thoroughly every week. So I don't know what you want. I mean, Gabe and I talk about everything that happens in these meetings on a daily basis. So I don't know what more you want from us to acknowledge your comments, but we take everything into consideration every month, so.
The concerns that have been raised over the last 6 months or so are documented in your minutes of meeting. And I have submitted written comments that have been submitted, and there is no response. The noise, yes, I agree, that was done, and it was done properly. But it took almost a year and a half of dealing with it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we need a response. I have comments here that I have submitted to the commission over and over again,
So
and they have not been addressed,
how about
whether
this?
it's rejected or not.
We'll move forward from that, from the past. We'll not harp on the past. Let's move forward and be productive. Send Gabe and myself an email. I've been CC'd in on, and Gabe has also, on email threads that have gone on for months and months and months of Danvers residents that are upset. If you guys talk to each other and complain and get each other more upset, nothing's gonna get done except you guys are gonna get angrier and angrier. You have to come to us and speak to us and email us. Handwritten letters that we can't read, unfortunately, I don't have the easiest time reading your penmanship. So if you can email us to Gabe or myself,
It
Send it to us
is
in
not handwritten,
That's
it is
fantastic.
submitted in writing to your office here. And all I'm asking for is let's make a call on these comments that have been
100%.
submitted.
just email them to us.
So
please.
what you're,
That is my only request. Email it to Gabe and myself, or one or the other. That is my only request, and we will move on from there and take care of everything that needs to be taken care of.
well, I'm very disappointed in that attitude.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Well,
Yes,
I just want to have one thing. Like, when we have the conversation too, now we get to talk, and like the last couple of meetings, I mean, there was a rebuttal, and I want to rebuttal, you wouldn't let us rebuttal afterwards, you know what I'm saying? Someone throws something in, you should be able to rebuttal, you know what I'm
oh,
saying?
of course, but the thing is, we can't go rebuttal.
I know, I'm not
It
trying to be
just doesn't
funny,
work
but
that way.
sometimes,
Like I'm saying, if you have a complaint or a comment or anything you need that you want taken care of, email us. Nobody emails us. You guys all talk to each other and get angry. You have to come to us. It's the only way anything's gonna get done.
we bring the comments to you at this table.
I'm asking you
And
for.
all I'm asking for is some action from the commission that is supported by the commissioners for you or the town, town manager, sorry about that. That's a
Don't give him
bad
that
statement.
responsibility.
No.
it gets paid pretty good.
But the thing is, these comments, even from our, partners that are at the airport, these comments are coming from a reality. And the thing is that we're not being heard or we're being ignored. And that's why I'm asking for the commission to take a vote on responding to these, because they need to be responded in a timely manner.
We will respond. You just have to send us an email. You have to send us an email. That's the
Then-
only way it's gonna get done. Is
then-
send it in through the website or send it directly to Gabe or myself or both, and we will work from there.
Then we're wasting our time.
Bill?
If I may follow up, Mr. Zuberek, I'm looking back at last month's notes, and in here, there is comment about submission of written statements. I think that originated from you and not me. I think what I'm hearing here from Mr. Zuberek is that in future meeting notes, we just acknowledge that Mr. Zuberek presented a comment for this, and it's under advisement or something, just something on the record to acknowledge, and it's under advisement for whatever that means.
He just needs to send us the comments, the complaints or whatever he wants us to review. That's all you gotta do.
I'm just curious, between Gabe and you, have you met with Mr. Zuberek to discuss some of these items? Like, are your concerns presented to you in the same fashion at each meeting, or do you reach out to Gabe or any commissioners to meet and discuss your concerns on a one-on-one basis?
They have been, various methods have been held. Not with the new chairman of the commission, but with Gabe and other commissioners. And the thing is that it feels like we're making our comments, and I'm just not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for other people as well. We're making our comments, and they go into the circular file because there's not even an acknowledgement. And this goes back to the master plan and all the way through the last 5 years.
But we're not gonna go in the past, we're gonna move forward from here on out, okay? That's all I'm asking. If you wanna meet me halfway, we'll meet you the other half, okay? We'll move on from there. Presentation, Airport Solutions Group, from Mr. Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project, the environmental assessment, environmental notification form, that's ongoing. Of course, we haven't started that project yet because we have to wait for the grant offers to come in from MassDOT and FAA. And that's not gonna come until probably July, late July, August. And once we get that, then we can start the project, so. Not much on that one. The aeronautical study, I reported last month, like it was, we kind of had to put a little on hold, because we're trying to get through the grant season here, May 1st grant deadline, so we were busy doing stuff at Beverly Airport. So now that's out of the way, we're gonna get back onto this project, and, we have analyzed quite a few approaches, but when we're done, I'll sit with Gabe first and go over what issues, if anything, if there's obstructions and whatnot, before we get into the whole finalizing. It's still many months away, these kind of projects take time to do. It's not just, we do a whole analysis, we create plans, then we get a red report, and we send it out to FAA and MassDOT for review. Then we'll have a meeting with them, sit with them, make adjustments again, and then any recommendations out of that, if you have obstructions, how do we go after them or don't go after them, or if there's nothing, so. Like I said, it takes time to do that project. So any questions on that one? No? So the perimeter fence, the one that everybody's talking about for quite a while. So the good thing is we had a bid opening. That was on the 17th. We had 5 or 6 bidders. The lowest bidder was Premier Fence, and forgive me, I did not update. I did not provide all the cost for the bids. But it came in on budget, so that's the good thing. So right now, we've been working with the airport to get the contracts signed, the contractor contracts and ASG's contracts, which the mayor just signed this morning. So I got those out, and I got those out from MassDOT. And I think MassDOT gave our talk. I think they just issued a grant offer to you, MassDOT grant offer. So that's good. We are also working with the contractor right now, getting shop drawings reviewed and submitted so they can get ready to hit the ground here. So that's the next step, is to start talking to the contractor about this project schedule. Just reminded this project has to be done by June 30th. So it's not that far away. So we're just going to keep moving forward. And if you ask me what happens if we don't meet June 30th, I don't know. it's MassDOT's project kind of thing. They're paying 100%. So I just say move forward and let's just see what happens. That's what we can do. And then if we have to, if for some reason Mass has to push money until the next fiscal year, that's going to be up to them how they want to handle that. But so all that is moving forward. And hopefully, what's today's date? Is the 13th. We'll see with the contractor, but maybe within 2 weeks we probably should get. Hopefully we get started. So.
If I can piggyback off that.
Yeah, of course.
Craig mentioned the grant offer, the grant award has been presented to the city. That is going before City Council next Monday, the 20th. So they will deliberate that, and next Monday after that council, assuming all goes well, then we'll be able to sign off on that grant award and officially be under grant for this project, the fence project, and then the aeronautical study is also the other grants.
So it's all wrapped into one. Well, it was like two separate things, but that's what's happening for City Council.
Yes.
Okay.
City of Beverly had some legal questions for MassDOT regarding the grant assurances and some verbiage and language in the grant assurances.
That got squared away.
So that is squared away for now.
Okay.
And so City Council will be voting on it next week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great news.
So,
I have just one question.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
The FA's budget is on the table right now, I think a week away from a vote. Is there anything in the new budget that we should be looking out for?
I'm unaware of that, so I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
The way these projects work, from my experience, is because you don't have, your FA share, you guys get $150,000 every year of non-primary entitlement money. That's FA, towards FA share. Of course, $150,000 doesn't do anything. Right, so anything above that, you go back to ask the FAA, and they gotta go to FAA Washington DC and ask what they call discretionary funding. Just what it sounds like. And you compete against all the other airports throughout the country. Right, and then they eventually get all grants into the country, turn the numbers, and then they release money to the region, and then that money comes up. So I don't know what the budget you're talking about in Congress. If that's what you're talking about, maybe reauthorization bill.
Yeah,
There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing that we can do about it. There's nothing.
I was just looking at, is there any funding in there that we should get on our radar so we can get ahead of it? Because
I don't know. I'd have to look. I didn't know that reauthorization bill was up for vote. So there's nothing I heard, because I know we had the CARES Act, we had the bill thing, that kind of thing fell under that. But I have not heard of any new funding program coming out of that.
Right. We're a week away from it, so once it's out, I guess we'll see.
You might hear something, but I haven't heard anything through my contacts.
So if we're competing against all the other airports, we gotta get
Get
it
started now.
started now.
Yeah, no, I like that, that's great.
Yeah.
Commissioner Zubrick had
She has a
her
question?
hand up, I think.
Yeah, just a note for the state funding, make sure you keep in real close contact with whoever the grantor person of the state is. June 30th, that is the use it or lose it date. There is a possibility for them to put it into a supplemental budget, but you need to start communicating with them and A&S now. So just keep open lines of communication with the state, let them know exactly where it is with realistic timelines, and they will do their best to help you out.
Thank you, Commissioner Zubrick.
Yeah, we do that.
Yep.
Do that all the time.
No doubt.
Yeah. No, thank you, Jason. Thanks for reminding me. I'm just saying, his name's Owen Silva. He's the director of engineering over there. I mean, I'm in contact with him a couple times a week, just on various projects. But we know we're very well aware of the June 30th. It's like Jesse said, they do have the option. They can go past the following year, but then they gotta do a supplemental agreement to the grant offer, and that means that money comes out of their budget for next year. That's why they want to get it from them on June 30th. But so we can do is
Yeah, and I don't want you to do it because I'm the one that's gonna cut off the funding, and I don't want to be the bad guy.
well, don't cut it off, Jesse.
Yeah.
Now we don't do that guy.
Not to.
Hey, all I can say, because all I can say is we can only do our best with the fence project, we try, that's all we can do. What happens if we start and it pours rain for a week and they can't get out there? Nothing we can do,
Yeah.
right? It's like, but yeah, by that point, Jess, I'll keep, Master Aeronautics informed always, especially for this project, because again, we have June 30th deadline for this one, so, and it is Uber lose it, so, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just have one question. Gabe and I had come to ASG and did a little meeting. I didn't know if anything has come of that or if there's any start on the ideas that we were throwing around.
Yeah, so you'll have to talk to Bob.
Okay.
So I wasn't there, obviously I was out in the field,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I wish it could have been there. But I know there were some things, but Bob has been out a couple days last week, he was out today, so I gotta follow up with him on some of that.
Yeah, no worries.
Well,
Didn't know if there was anything on your radar that,
No, him and I talked briefly, but nothing in detail, so.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to the airport manager's report. Mr. Huffman.
Good evening, everyone. I will start with our kind of normal stuff, the financial and operations report. So first sheet is your budget summary, year to date. We're still looking pretty good and broken record moment here as far as the budget goes. We're tracking ahead on our revenues. We're not overspending. We're behind our budgeted spending goals, so I'm happy with how that looks as well. we're in the home stretch of the fiscal year, so just about a month and a half left. So everything's looking good on that front. Any questions about the budget? Next month, I will plan to do a presentation to all of you on the FY25 budget. I proposed a budget, it went to the mayor, he's made his notes on that. I'm going to get all that back, and then at the June meeting, I'll plan to give commissioners kind of the full overview of the FY25 budget and forecast for the airport. Operations report, April 2024 just so happened to be our busiest April since 1992. So we had a total of 8,798 operations. That is an increase of 1,568 operations from last April. And yeah, you have to go back to April of 92 to find another April with numbers like that. Yeah.
Question, where, is that specific number of operations on this paper here?
Yep, it's in the
Top right.
top right.
Monthly operations, April,
Oh,
say 2023,
yeah, okay,
7,000
gotcha, thank you.
And as expected, with an increase in operations like that, we also saw a sizable increase in fuel flowage fees and landing fees. We collected about $7,200 in fuel flowage fees and just over $12,000 in landing fees. So that's a 16.4% and a 32.4% increase respectively on those.
And only 7.7% of increased operations.
That's, so for the month, it was a 21.69%
That's in the
increase.
average.
But on the year to date, kind of tracking compared to last year, we've got a 7.7% increase in operations, yeah. So I think the fuel flowage fees and landing fees, again, reflect that jump in operations, but also reflect that increase in fees that we implemented last year. Any questions there? All right, so we'll move on to my noise report. So if you weren't here when I said, commissioners, with your packet, I gave you a second noise report form. You can replace the one that was in your packet with that one. That's the most updated one. So for the period of April 8th, 2024, which was our last meeting, and today, we received a total of 29 individual complaints. That is an increase of 17 from last period. I will note that 19 of those 29 complaints came from the same person in a 15-minute time frame about the same aircraft. So that's kind of the caveat there. The unique addresses that we saw this period, there were 10 separate addresses that were complaining. That accounts for, that's actually 7 of those addresses we have not gotten a complaint from prior this year. That makes sense. So, you know, we had the majority of them were about touch and goes. Majority of them did come from Danvers residents. We had a complaint from Wynnum, complaint from Beverly. We also had 2 kind of out of the ordinary complaints, one from Boston and one from Cambridge. Both of these were about the news helicopters. If you've been following current events, MIT especially has been the subject of lots of news coverage due to on-campus protests. And due to that, the news helicopters that are based out of here have been circling MIT's campus pretty regularly. So I got some complaints from Cambridge and the Back Bay neighborhood about the helicopter activity coming out of Beverly. So something to note there. Everything else were single engine mostly trainer aircraft. All of the aircraft that had noise complaint about them were based out of Beverly, so no transient aircraft. We have 2 curfew violations. One aircraft doing touch and goes from 8:50 to 10:05 p.m. So they were in violation of our night quiet hour recommendation for about an hour. And then another aircraft that was flying, doing touch and goes from 8:45 to 9:38. So by 38 minutes, they violated our.
Is this the first offense?
For both those aircraft, yes, that would be the first. And then we have one complaint about a run-up for runway 9. I'll take the heat for this one. As you'll remember, this past month we had the blimp that was stationed here for a few weeks. They staged along taxiway Foxtrot. So the normal place that we do run-ups for runway 9 is along taxiway Foxtrot. Since the blimp was there, we shut all that down. So there were some aircraft that I had okayed them using the old run-up pad for runway 9, and that got a complaint for the run-ups. I talked to the resident. She was very understanding, very kind. She was just more concerned on, is this temporary or is it permanent? And I told her it was just temporary. She was all good, no issues. But I did follow up with the tower and said, you know, let's try to use other ramp areas before we use that run-up area. So that's the rundown of noise complaints. Any questions? I see Commissioner Zuberek has her hand raised.
Yes, so about the helicopters, could you explain to the 2 people that complained about those that that's completely outside of our purview? Just because they're based in Beverly doesn't mean that
Yes, I did.
the airspace or MIT.
Correct. I let them know that once the aircraft leaves the ground, and especially once they leave our airspace, we have no say on their flight activities and where they choose to go.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Commissioner Costello.
Yep.
Perhaps a small question.
Yeah.
Regarding curfew violations, you've got it down here as touch and goes. Were they actually, you know, my own curiosity, were they actually touch and goes, or were these takeoffs and full stops, which would be a part of the night?
Correct. They were all full stops. I should probably put that in, but thank you. Yes, good clarification. They were all full stop and taxi back operations. The pilots here will know that that's how you get your night currency. So you have to complete a certain number of takeoffs and landings for day and night to be current or be able to carry passengers. And the night requirements say the landings have to come to a full stop and then you taxi back and do a full length takeoff. So that's what all those were. They were full stop, night currency type flights. Yeah. It was also this past month, Chairman Ritalik and I had a really good, productive meeting with both flight schools. We kind of showed them some of the trends we were noticing in our noise complaints, and they were both very receptive to some recommendations that we had. They were both willing and able and really desired to really conduct operations that were in line with our noise abatement program. So just want to give a thank you and a shout out publicly to Aviair and Beverly Flight Center for their constant partnership on noise abatement with us.
May I
Yeah.
ask, for the 10 unique addresses, how are the conversations taking place for you? What's the tenor of the conversations? Is that there's a good exchange of information and
Yes.
education happening?
I think so, yeah. It's been really interesting. I'll get these website, most of the complaints are coming in through the website. And there's a few that have my email and they'll just email me directly, which I am fine with, I welcome. And the tone of those tend to be very hostile. But it's amazing that just picking up the phone, I have found, and having a conversation with them, how appreciated that is on their behalf. Even if I call them and say, sorry, there's really nothing I can do. This flight was operating totally within the parameters. They're very kind, understanding, and just really appreciate the call back.
Is there anything we could do longer term of inviting some of the residents here for education, try to have something informal or formal where people that are impacted by this can actually meet with pilots
I think that'd be a great idea. Now that weather is getting a little warmer, I'm really excited because Chairman Rotalick and I are planning to go out and spend a day canvassing the neighborhoods and walking, going door to door, getting that like face-to-face interaction with residents, just so they can, we see ourselves truly as a part of their neighborhood. It's the neighborly thing to do, to go out and introduce yourself, build those bridges, and see what they'd like to see from the airport. So that's going to be starting hopefully in the next few weeks if the weather stays this way.
Okay, that's great. Wow, good stuff. Thank you.
Quick comment. I gladly invite both of you to come to my neighborhood.
We will.
Anytime,
We will.
any place,
Yeah,
just let me know.
We will.
we will.
Do you have beer?
I have beer and hot dogs and whatever.
There you go. Great. Anything on that? All right. Let's see, where are we? Report on recent and upcoming airfield pavement repairs. So, our friends and partners at Mascot Aeronautics, last week they were here, really the last 2 weeks, they were here doing some pavement repairs along Taxiway Bravo and Delta. There were lots of cracks and heaving and down spots of the pavement, so Mascot came out and that's part of their ASMP program for airfields. Came out, repaired that for us. This is, again, no cost to the airport. This is a service that Mascot provides to the airports, which we are very appreciative of. And they're planning to be back out in the next couple weeks to do the same thing, but on some spots of runway 927. Most of that will be localized to 927. That'll be closed down, of course, for that period. There is going to be a day where they'll be working within the intersection, so there's going to be a small sliver of time that both runways will have to be shut down completely. So we'll let tenants know when that exact time is, but ultimately this is a great service. It's something that we just have to do and get through, but it'll be a great improvement on runway 9. Any comments there? All right, I'm going to pull up this now. I want to give an update on our environmental mitigation efforts. So let's see, I'm going to share this screen. So we'll start with PFAS. All right. Can everyone virtually see that? Cool.
Can't see screen, so I don't know.
Okay. All right, so for those of you, just a little bit of background. I believe it was in 2009, the fire department conducted a training exercise along Taxiway Foxtrot. So that's right here. They conducted a training exercise there, and they used firefighting foam as part of the exercise. They caught a pickup truck on fire, responded to it as if it were a plane crash, doused it with foam, all that, just do their training. Well, that foam contained what's called PFAS, which is I forget the exact what it stands for, and I probably couldn't pronounce it. But it's a chemical found in these firefighting foams, and it has recently become a big hot topic of the EPA. They don't like it. Causes some environmental concerns for them. Then it's getting into drinking water in areas, and that's causing a big concern as well with the EPA. So now airports are being forced to look at the past use of foams that contain PFAS and find ways to mitigate that. So we have a consultant that does that for us, GZA Environmental. So for the last several years, they've been conducting these groundwater monitoring and soil monitoring of this area to see the levels of PFAS. So this yellow area is the affected area. For reference, here's like flight levels hangars over here. And then runway 9, and then here's the Foxtrot where that PFAS is. Here it is up close. And so they go out, they dig wells, and then they test the wells and measure the amount of PFAS chemical in there. So good news is that the PFAS here is not moving. It doesn't appear to be migrating anywhere. It seems to be pretty localized and staying stagnant in this one area. And they do different wells in different locations to confirm that, but as of now, they've not found any reason to think that this PFAS is migrating anywhere other than just sitting right here, which keeps it also away from groundwater and drinking water that residents are using. So as far as this project goes, we're getting pretty close to a closeout where we can go to Mass DEP and present these findings, and then they can close that out and we don't have to necessarily worry about it anymore. The next steps is they're continuing to investigate this portion, kind of over here on the east side of the airport, to make sure and to verify that there's no connecting. There's nothing connecting this PFAS area to this area, which would then might pose some risk to a groundwater. They found no evidence of that at this point, but there's going to be doing some new wells over here just to verify that. So that's kind of where we are on the PFAS front. Not too much new or exciting happening, but that's a good thing when it comes to this issue.
So that secondary site that you're talking about, is that a PFAS site
Right here.
as well?
We will, that's my next portion on what that is.
Okay,
Yeah.
Then the question on the original PFAS site,
Yeah.
when they sprayed the foam, it's all over the run or the taxiway. I mean, do they? I mean, you might not know this, but like, when the foam is done and the fire's out, do they like wash it off with water and then and then it goes into the soil, or like it sat on the concrete, on the asphalt? I mean, is it just like, how does it?
I'm not sure how they would have done. They might have just washed it off the asphalt back into the grass.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
You're saying 2009 on this one. You didn't say a date for the other one, but my question is, that was then, what are they using for a product now? I mean, hopefully not.
There are new products coming out. New AFFF is the foaming agent that they use for aircraft accidents. There's new chemicals and compounds coming out that don't have the PFAS in it. So, yeah.
Okay, just a question too, whose responsibility is the cleanup after, let's say, a fire and fire suppression is applied, who takes care of not only the cleanup of the wreckage, but also what's left behind?
So the wreckage cleanup would, I believe would probably fall on the NTSB. As far as the actual like fire suppression and foam and stuff, that would be on us in the fire department to clean up any, lasting, anything that's still there.
And we have a set of protocols we follow for that type of situation?
I'll have to check with the fire chief to see what their kind of aftermath cleanup protocol is.
There's actually a special on Netflix right now out, it's called Dark Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And that talks about DuPont's creation of PFAS and how communities were impacted, and there was lawsuits for several decades. But a lot of it deals with water and migration of water flow. So it's done, through water migration, rain, things like that. But I don't think this particular, from what I see here, which I don't know much, but from the movie, the way it moved was through rivers, waterways, very deliberate contamination. So this seems to be a very different, but that movie is very interesting. It's a great,
Who covers training exercise cleanup, right? Like if there's, I'm sure there's like if there's a plane crash, NTSB cleans it up,
Right.
insurance covers
So
a certain.
now, as far as training exercises go, anything that's conducted out here, they're not doing live fire or like actually expelling any sort of foam. It would look like the tower, doing a mock crash and telling the fire department there's been an airplane crash at the intersection of the two runways, and then they just respond to that location but don't actually spray any foam, or they might just spray water.
And I apologize, one last question,
No.
it's maybe unfortunately tangentially related. Do we do those kinds of exercises here?
Yes. Yeah. And hats off to Mary Parsons in the tower. She's been wonderful at helping us organize those. She's got a great relationship with fire department. So last time Mary and I did training on with the fire department, probably been 3 or 4 months now, but we like to do it every year. It's a good exercise to get some practice on airfield, knowing the airfield, and then knowing aircraft and all that.
Which has helped with the air show and trying to
Right.
and trying to figure out best routes in for
Correct.
fire and say, oh well, this gate's not going to work, and how can it's been incredible working
Yeah.
with everybody in this air
But
show.
our fire department is very familiar with the airfield. Yeah. And we had a minor incident. It's been a couple months ago now, where an aircraft was starting up. They thought they saw some flames in the engine, so just to be safe, they called fire department, and their response, the fire department's response to the incident was near perfect. So, they are very familiar with the airfield. So yeah, I think that's great.
So we're just going to get through his.
It's a dumb question, so. Danvers still has we the ones that supply the foam, right, with the trailer? We have the trailer, right?
Supply
Yeah.
foam.
Danvers, yeah, Danvers,
Yes.
that's who has
I
the trailer.
believe, yes, there's
We
a
have-
foam truck that responds from Danvers. Yeah. Looks like Commissioner Zuberek.
Commissioner Zuberek, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, apparently a very loud fly in the wall, sorry about that. So, question, so this did happen on our land, yes, but it was the Danvers, assuming fire departments that actually sprayed the foam. Are they cost sharing with any of these tests and well digging that we're doing? I don't remember seeing that.
They are.
And should they be?
They are not currently. I can look into that. Right.
All right, I'll go back to my slide.
Great. Where am I? All right, any questions on PFAS?
Oh, thank you.
Fine. So the next one is that second site. This is zoomed in. This is a petroleum release. And I forget the year that they pinpoint this release of petroleum to, but it's happened right here where the self-serve
Mhm.
fuel is. And so GZA is also investigating this as well. So this one is not necessarily stagnant. As you can see, just looking out the window, there's quite a grade from the fuel farm, the self-serve fuel, down towards like Aviaire and Building 45. And that's depicted here with these blue arrows. And so they have found in their well digging that this petroleum, what they call the plume, is slowly creeping down grade that way. And so it's getting, this is an old, I think this is from August of 23. Now they believe that this line has moved, it's right on Avier's doorstep right now. Their GZA is not overly concerned that anyone in Avier's building is at risk of anything. That's just kind of the location underground as this plume is moving downgrade. So they're still trying to pinpoint where that's moving, and they can't move on to the next step of the mass DEP process until they can prove that it has stopped moving. And they get the same kind of consistent numbers at that front edge. So there's actually going to be a contract addendum with GZA on this petroleum release to address and continue that testing and well digging until they can find a good defined set area when it stops moving.
When
Yeah.
it stops moving, what happens?
I just had a quick question. Maybe you said, maybe you didn't. How much fuel was actually lost?
I don't know the exact number of how much was lost. I can see if I can find some
Well,
numbers on that.
I mean, that's quite a migration.
Right.
So, I mean,
The grid does not help.
Yeah, and that's something I'm wondering about too, moving forward. Is there some sort of mitigation one can do to
Yeah.
stem that kind of?
I think we talked about this when Paul was chair. This was a topic that came up quite a bit, and I think there was like some water underground. But it's. I don't think that there's really much that we can do. That
Right.
I don't think there's really. It's so. I think what happens is it goes down. There's like a bedrock underneath, and it like hits that bedrock and just starts going. And it's really not.
Well, there's wetland out here, correct?
Yeah, so it's creeping towards the wetlands, which are just behind like Avier's building.
So Gabe, you said when it stops, that's when something happens at that
Then-
point, what happens?
GZA will move into it's called phase 4
Okay.
and that's when mitigation efforts can begin. Once we have a defined boundary and we know it's not going to move from that, then mitigation can begin. I don't know exactly what mitigating this looks like.
It doesn't mean tearing up and removing
I don't think so.
conduit or anything. Wow.
another comment?
Yeah.
I don't know really much more than being aware of it, but years ago, there was a tremendous problem with pollution, what was known as Otis Air Force Base, now it's Edwards, I forget the exact, but the Air Force was utilizing some sort of microbe that was allegedly eating the contamination. Outside of being aware of it and being told specifically about it, I have no idea if it was successful or not, but I'll mention it just so that, you know, there might be something to explore.
Of course. Any questions there? All right. Yeah. So let me come back, stop sharing. Hi, I think we're now on camera, great. Next, update on Building 45 and future development. So we, in the past couple months, have gotten lots of interest in Building 45. People curious about taking it on as a project for their company. More than one company, some of which are already based on the field, are showing some interest in Building 45. As Commissioner Rotalick mentioned, we had a sit-down meeting with Bob Mallard with ASG, and he's going to do some mock-ups. He showed us some stuff that they had done at Cape Cod Gateway Airport, but they're going to do some mock-ups for us to kind of show us what development there could look like, both with Building 45 remaining in place, and also if Building 45 were to be taken out, what type of, specifically aeronautical use that we could get out of that area. So really exciting. It's good that Building 45 is kind of starting to move, and then later on this meeting, we've actually got a tenant at will agreement, but we can leave that until then. So I just want to say, give that little good news, that big stuff happening on 45.
When will we get that from Bob?
Craig's gonna check in and we'll check in.
Yeah, I can
again.
follow
We're
up
gonna get down right now.
Yeah, I can follow up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, were you part of the presentations when Gail and ASG and Bobrick presented to us? Were you part of that subcommittee? I don't know.
No, I wasn't.
But they presented to us, a couple of incredible visualizations of what they had come up with. An airport had given them some land and said, well,
So if you take that design, then you can solicit it and say, we want something like this.
Right, yeah, and
This is
so,
what we're looking for.
other airports, so I mentioned Cape Cod, they've done
Right.
this for Cape Cod. They also did it for Westfield, I believe, and so then when those managers go to conferences or trade shows or interfacing with potential developers, they have this tool that they can say, look at how this space can be used. And it sounds like that's been pretty successful for them.
Wow. Right.
very.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Just keep in mind, we're not land
Correct.
it's purely mock-up based on what you guys
Sure.
want. We don't,
Right.
that's not our expertise. We can make a nice, cool looking picture what you guys want to hang as well. Want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries, yeah.
Okay.
It's the start of, looking forward to the future of the east side of the airport.
Yeah.
And not looking in the immediate, but, what would be best for the airport, 5, 10, 20 years down the road, and being more visionary in that aspect, so.
Cool. As most of you probably know, there's an air show that's going to be happening here. Dates are September 14th and 15th. So we had a meeting in April. It was pretty much everyone involved. Rich Little, who's here tonight, organizing it, of course, ran the meeting. I was there, Commissioner Rotalick was there, FAA had representatives there. The air boss, the guy who's going to be on the radio directing everything, he was there. Police, fire, so it was a big tabletop that was held here, and everything's still a go, everything is on track. Everyone from their organizational standpoint seems to be all on board and giving the thumbs up for this. So again, this is going to be a great event for the community, for the airport, so let people know.
September.
Yep, September 14th and
14th,
15th.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the night of the 13th or something, that's,
So the 13th, there'll be a practice show, and then there'll be a VIP party. The airport band will be invited to that, of course, but that's typical air show industry standards, is you have a party for the sponsors and the performers. So you can wine down these people when they come in.
gotcha.
question to Rich. I've seen advertisements here and there, I hate to say it, I haven't really drank into them. Can you give me a thumbnail of who's gonna be here, what's gonna happen?
Sure, so, it's funny that Life for CF evolved 20 years ago here by giving airplane rides. It's now turned into a full-time business for us. We have 7 events this year. Airports are reaching out, how do we do a family days event? How do we do this? Beverly's my home airport, so I take it pretty close to heart. There's no reward here for me except the donation to the fight for cystic fibrosis, right? That's our Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. They're gonna come on the second day of the event, collect a check whether we raise it or not. It's gonna be out of my pocket, $25,000, that's what we committed to. We expect between 5,000 and 6,000 people a day, and we're gonna manage that by selling tickets. It's not gonna be free for all. We have some of the top headliners that can perform here at the airport as far as aircraft size. Can't perform jets here, it's all small stuff. The biggest being a twin T6 act, T6 Texan. There's 2 of those. Aviator's actually sponsoring those, so that's a pretty big feat for them. So we have Ghost Rider, he's a headliner, he's still one of the only skyriders left in the country.
Oh,
And he's turned into a world-class performer, actually. The connection we have is both his daughters have cystic fibrosis. So not a great connection, but it's a connection. And I plan the dates just to have him, actually. We have a guy from Canada, Trevor Rafferty, RJ Gritter, who is a decathlon pilot out of Virginia, is coming. It's a good mix of people. We have a comedy act. So we have 6 acts in total. We have the RC guys that will fly for an hour. And a big portion of this year's show is women in aviation. We're really pushing that. I'm going to reach out to Jesse, but we have an all-female B-25 bomber crew coming in. And then at noon, we open the show with an all-female skydiving team. So we call it the Beverly Air Show. It's not the Rich Little Air Show. It's not the Flight to CF. It's the Beverly Air Show because it's the community's air show, right? It's bringing the community out. And I say that because the team that I have is getting bigger and bigger, and they're all Beverly people. We just came back from a air show academy. We went to an air show academy down in North Carolina at the Marine base, and they had a free show, and they expected 40,000 people to show. They estimate 80,000 came to the game because it was free. We're not.
Yeah.
It just shows you how the community. This has a bigger fan base than NASCAR, believe it or not. So we expect 5,000 to 6,000 people a day. One of the some of the concerns we addressed at the meeting, parking. We're developing a live app for the show where people get live updates where to park. The city of Beverly is vested into it. They're giving us the buses. They're going to give us 12 buses. They gave us the high school to park at, the middle school to park at.
That's great.
Yeah, it's coming together nicely. It's a benefit for the flight schools. If they get 0.5% of the people that we expect to show up and turn them into customers, pull the macro, right? Flight level's going to get thousands of gallons of fuel from that I'm purchasing. Hangar space rental. It's just a win-win. Clark is going to rent hangars. Pilots come to these things, going to see this hangar space. It's a win-win for the airport. Talk about training for the fire department. They come out and train on Friday on my dime. They're going to be the same. They have 60 seconds. They grid the airport off, and the air boss calls a number, and they have 60 seconds to make it to that site. And Beverly Fire Department's exceeded that every time. In fact, Chief O'Connor he's writing our emergency procedures for this air show, which is pretty good. No charge, but that's the benefit of the airport. There's no risk to the airport, right? The risk is on me. I'm personally on this spot for $200,000 if nobody shows up. I have to sell 8,000 tickets just to break even. So, I don't do this for money, right? I do this because we actually love to do it. So it's going to be a great run, I think.
So you'll send us the link for donations? So that
Absolutely, yeah. So the tickets are on sale now. We haven't sold a lot because it's still 4 months out.
Yeah.
The tickets are on sale. We have a new website going to be launched here in a couple days, hopefully this week. And the DDs get involved. Go ahead.
Sorry, Rich, we're doing one of our high school presentations tomorrow. I was going to offer up the Beverly Air Show as a volunteer opportunity. I saw that was on the Facebook at some point. Are you guys still looking for volunteers?
Absolutely. It takes about 150 to 180 volunteers a day. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. For sure.
Okay.
So there's so many people involved in this. The Civil Air Patrol, for instance, our little family days event that we had here in the fall, they were able to recruit almost 18 cadets from that little event. So just at this event, we have 140 cadets coming to this event to support our event from all the CAP units. So it's awesome. The BU, Boston University ROTC cadets are coming. It's crazy how many people want to get involved in it. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. Hundreds of hours of work planning this. Hundreds. I can't tell you. So that's where we're at so far. We'll have another meeting here in August. I know July and then August. There'll be a meeting each month until the event takes place.
Fantastic, yeah.
And then my final update is on the blimp activity. So if you were out here last month, you might have seen the Dick's Sporting Goods blimp. They were in town to cover mostly the Boston Marathon. I think opening day at Fenway was also that day, or in that time frame, so they were covering that as well. And they wanted Beverly to be the place they called home for, I think it was 2.5 or 3 weeks that they were here. I got several calls in my office from members of the community wanting to know if they were here so they could come and see it. If you looked up the blimp on any social media, there were pictures from all across the region in Boston. People taking pictures of the blimp. So it was cool to have that here, be able to serve them. They're planning. I've not heard any dates yet, but they're planning to come back for a few weeks again before the end of the summer. So. No. So we'll happily welcome them back here. So yeah, I just wanted to give that shout out as well. Commissioner Zuberek?
Can you talk a little bit about the high school series too?
Yes.
Do you mind?
No, yep, I can do that. And then tomorrow, Commissioner Zuberek and Mary Parsons and I are going to be at Essex Tech High School to talk to students and give a presentation about careers in aviation. We're particularly going to focus on aircraft maintenance and the opportunities in that field. So this is another school, as you know, that we've gone around to several schools, Beverly Middle School. I was at Penguin Hall and Wynnum to give presentations to our youth about career opportunities in aviation and all the openings and opportunities that the field offers. So we'll be doing that tomorrow.
Well, I know that the FAA's budget is going to be beefed up on air traffic controllers.
Right,
That's what
yeah,
they're
there's
looking for.
shortages in pretty much every
Everything.
facet. Yes, yeah.
Has Tom been involved at all in recruiting and kids interested with Essex Techs because they would go start working, training under?
Right, and Commissioner Zuberek has, I know, has talked with Tom a little bit. Do you have anything to add on that?
Oh, Tom's been great. It's just that the date didn't work out. I talked to Joel Decoff, who is the automotive teacher at Essex Tech, and he said if this catches on with any of the students, that he'd love to have Tom back in, and Tom said he's cool with that. We have the FAA support on all of this. And as a side note, I opened my mouth too much at a meeting for the 99s, and I'm now the Aviation and Space Education Coordinator for the entire New England region. So if you need anything, let me know.
Space
Have
coordinator.
you guys talked about getting some of the students
Right,
from
to the
Essex
space
Tech, have you talked with Tom about getting kids that are interested to come take a look at his shop and see what it would look like?
Yes, and Tom actually hosts an intern. So he is already outreaching and doing all kinds of stuff. It's not from Essex Tech, but it's from one of the other schools. But I think when I contacted Essex Tech, they just didn't know it was even an option for us to come out, talk to them about this, give the students like another kind of point of view. So I think just the more outreach we do, the better. And I was looking at the statistics, and it's the maintenance technicians that we are most hurting for. So I mean, everything is gonna be having shortages in the next couple of years, particularly the maintenance technicians. So we need them. We need to recruit them.
Yep, Tom Bear is the lead mechanic, just bought a pizza shop in Lynn. It's gone part-time, so we definitely need some more mechanics going into aviation. I think he's very limited in his work over there, so.
All right.
That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
All right, we'll move on to new business. Proposed tenant at will agreement with Aviair Flight School LLC for the use of office space in Building 45.
Yeah, so as you guys know, Building 45, about 1/3 of it is actually finished and usable office space. It was the home of the police department's detective unit for a few years, but now it's empty office space. So Javier is needing some more space for their offices, and we have that. So this before you is a tenant at will agreement. It's a month-to-month agreement. Javier is fully aware that of our intentions with Building 45 to eventually get someone to take on the whole building and renovate it or develop around it. So that's why it's a month-to-month tenant at will agreement with Javier, just so we have that flexibility if and when someone wants to come in and take on the full building. So Javier is on board with that. The term or the rate is $403 per month. That equals out to about $20 per square foot per year. That is about what other airports are charging in the area for office space. And then back in 2018, there was an appraisal of the building done. They came up with a range of figure on what the fair market value is for rent on the office space in there. And there was something like $14 to $16 per square foot per year. So I took those numbers and looked at CPI and inflation, and so $20 is right there, kind of what the fair market value today would be based off of that 2018 appraisal, and then throwing inflation in there. Questions? Yeah.
Real quick, you're saying a third of the building is usable?
Yeah.
All right, so as I sit here, I look at the building. Well, that section there, that's the restaurant, that's kaput.
Yes.
Okay, the middle section, that's not so hot either.
Correct.
So what they're talking about is this end of the building.
It's down end, and they'll be occupying, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offices. They're going to be occupying 2 of those offices. And then there's a common space area and bathrooms and stuff that, of course, will give them access to as well. So,
Is it, I have a question, is it safe? I know the detectives are in there, but
right.
for occupancy, has it been inspected, or does it need to be inspected too?
I can see if a city inspector would come down and look at it.
Yeah, because I remember going into the utility room and I think something was running or something didn't seem quite right on the gas. There's gas over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would make sure
okay.
that
Yeah.
gets looked at.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions on the lease itself? Everyone got some time to review it?
Yeah.
We give that.
Looks good to me, I support it.
Do I hear a motion to,
Motion to,
we have a motion from Commissioner Caswan, Commissioner Relay seconds, so we'll vote on that. Commissioner Gillette?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Gillette?
Yes.
Commissioner Kendrick?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Caswan, Commissioner Doxey? Yes. And Commissioner Talent, yes. So unanimous vote yes to accept this lease between Beverly Airport and
Upon
Javier.
inspection, it's
Upon inspection, yes, that it is safe and
safe.
habitable.
I want to see them around,
Yes.
instead of like a fire.
Right.
All right. Right.
Of course, as it is.
All right, we'll move on to reports of subcommittees. We have a report from the Airport Innovation Subcommittee.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So while he pulls that up, a quick update. We met the subcommittee on our innovation strategy. What I wanted to show you is about 3 slides that we're working from, some of the areas of innovation. We can go to the next slide. I think everyone. So we're looking at a smart airport ecosystem. These are the 3 pillars that we're looking at. You know, the environmental sustainability, you know, that might be from, you know, the PFAS to solar, being an option for, lighting, LED lighting, etc. There's a lot of good things that are happening around the country and the Class D airspace that we can draw from. The other pillar is safety and security. You know, that is, you know, we can look at the perimeter security as that, but also we have to put up cameras, wildlife detection. There's automated systems that will help with that, and operational optimization. And you can jump to the next slide and we'll dive right into it. So we're just looking at, you know, how we can create a better airport all around. And, you know, if, for example, if we see that folks are flying drones around the airport, we can detect them and we can even track them, or at least we can raise it to the FAA. And we're just looking for areas from a subcommittee standpoint where we can bring in some tech that might be beneficial to the airport and make it smarter and more efficient. We'll jump to the next slide. So some of the areas that we're looking at for innovation, these are specific areas that we kind of distill at the subcommittee level. So we're looking at air traffic advisory systems that would help with noise abatement, with announcements to aircraft that are actually flying after hours. We can actually let them know that you know, there is a curfew in effect, just in case they need a reminder. We're looking at the avgas, you know, when it could actually be brought into this area as a resource. And again, you know, sustainability. We think of sustainability just from energy itself, but, you know, selling avgas unleaded, you know, it might be beneficial down the road, so we should look at it. We're looking at EV charging, and that's a big one right now, because if we brought in EV charging and we could actually charge for that and make money on it, we might not only, you know, get the soccer folks down the road coming up and making, you know, a little bit of money on or revenue from EV charging. I'm sure if we had 5, 6, 7 stations up here, every Saturday someone will have those filled up. And if you bring in EV charging, you might even be able to attract some of the advanced air mobility folks that are around the country who are flying EV aircraft. And just so that you know, they're very quiet. Very, very quiet. So there's a benefit there. And we're looking at automating the landing fees. So we're investigating those. What we're going to do is create little mini business plans around them so we know exactly what the benefit is for the airport and for the community. And we're going to submit those to Gabe and bring these vendors in and vet them out and understand them a little bit. And we'll either take action from an airport standpoint, or we'll try to move these into the master plan further down the road. We just want to make sure that we have them on our radar so that if there's FAA funding that's available or DOT funding, that we're going to go grab it. We're going to go look for it. Any comments from our subcommittee members? Sure.
Taking the cue, I would like to just mention that I received a small mound of information on a couple of areas here. First of all, what I'll call the air traffic tracking system that, per the airport manager's approval and by his direction, I contacted 3 companies. We had a presentation last week, which was very impressive. I believe the name of that country is 1200 Arrow. I'm not 100% sure that's their official title, but very impressive presentation. Lots of information there that'll suit everybody, including what I'll call a demonstrating board or something that we could,
Dashboard, right.
anybody could come down here and get an instantaneous snapshot of what's going on. And it was very, shall we say, competitively priced. I was very impressed by that. And that's one of two others. No sooner than I got one, I've been deluded by the other two, so I'm not sure if they've been in contact with you or anybody else in terms of another presentation. But this would really give us an insight of who's using our airspace, so to speak. I mean, air traffic control understands, the moment of who's trafficking through, the navigation easement that we know is Class B airspace. But that's it, they know the moment. And there is, shall we say, people who are not based at this field, who are using our airfield, our airspace. It is possibly causing problems in terms of irritating neighbors with more traffic over their houses and stuff. And these systems would give us an idea of who these people are and follow up with a nice bill in the mail saying, thanks very much for coming to Beverly Airport, here's your bill.
There you go.
So, there's that. Now, another thing that I checked into was the air traffic advisory system ADTAS. There's one company out there, it's down in, I forget which one, the DC3 they're based at, but right in the DC area. And this is supplemental information, which would be really, really good, but I have no idea what the cost would be. It would supplement the information that we received here today, but since I'm one of the guys who used to do a fair amount of night flying, this really fills in a lot of the gaps of what's out there.
After hours, yeah.
Yeah, so I personally would be in favor of it, but at this moment I have no idea what it would cost. So
I think he sent an invoice, right? There was an invoice, he actually told you how much the system cost, but there was a couple models. There was a lease model and a total ownership. So, yeah, that's there, right?
Well,
Somewhere.
I'll just mention it, in the last
Yeah.
10 days to 2 weeks' time, I have been the focus of a lot of information from a lot of people on a lot of
Sure.
subjects.
Certainly, it's fine. This is
And
just
it's
another.
nice to be liked or directed to. I was overwhelmed by the information on the tracking system. There was one company, I think they changed their proposal 3 or 4 times. And that got a little
That's
much.
gonna
But
happen, yeah.
yeah, that happens, that's fair play. And we'll see what that cheers up. I also, in respect to Mr. Zuberek, heard a lot about what I call the watershed situation over here. And it didn't dawn on me what was going on until I had like the 3rd or 4th person telling me what was going on. Finally it clicked, I'm like, yeah, this is significant, so I'll just mention that. So, got a lot of information, and there's good things happening. The innovation group is earning its salt. We're doing our job, and just trying to make the place a better place. And again, one thing I just want to point out that we're the Boston Five, so to speak. And the Boston Five consists of Nantucket, Norwood, Hanscom, us, and I'll even put Lawrence into that. And we need to be all at the same level, and Lawrence and Beverly are the last two to really get any place of that. But because the others are, shall we say, organized on a better footing in terms of information gathering, we have people who are now shifting their operations to here. And, it's human nature. There's nothing, no negatives, not pointing any fingers, but they're getting chased away by landing fees or whatever, and now they're over here, and now they're over our neighbors, and they're getting calls. And at least we'd like to find out who they are, and like I said, the best part is send them a bill.
Right. Thanks, Bill.
Have you guys contacted Peter from Flight Level
Oh,
about his, because he did have, he has a company that tracking, and there was talks of him doing a presentation, but,
well, yeah, I think we knew that he was there, but I don't know if Bill talked to him, but he will be a part of, that business plan, right? Of
awesome,
if, what we're looking for is accuracy on landing fees.
right.
So what I asked Bill to do is give these companies 6 months or so of ADS-B data, and then they can digest that. and they can give us, they can project what the revenue would be for the airport.
Right.
So we'll do the same with flight level and say, okay, over the last 6 months, I think they're doing it for us now, and we'll look at the numbers and decide, what the impact with maintaining a system of our own, maintaining flight level. But it's really about, upping the game a little bit.
And then maybe, Chris, you could also speak a little bit to our process. I mean, we're, with each of these silos,
Right.
from sustainability to safety to operations, and all of the information we're bringing in terms of what's possible, we're also applying what you call a criteria or
Right.
against all of it. And then that's part of this process.
Which is gonna be uniform, so that you just look at it and say, here's the benefit, and this is what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, so this initial endeavor we've undertaken is sort of a little test run to run a few examples through it so that we can kind of refine our inquiry process. And, like I say, we're sort of in a curve of education right now, and then, we'll be able to, like I said, reach out to more once we kind of know what we're looking at and all the more granular aspects. And also, I was jumping on the EV charging solar
Here's our
sites. So,
EV person.
yeah, I mean, because I think it's a great idea. We want to, stay, kind of ahead, with the curve, at least, not ahead. And I always thought it'd be neat to kind of be on the cutting edge in terms of EV and aviation. So I reached out to Arena Keefe, the Director of Sustainability at City Hall, and we had a great meeting. It was very informative. And she discussed what it would take in terms of first steps to get in EV charging for vehicles, and then also corollary to that is aircraft, and that's still something we have to investigate. But the first step in all of that is just understanding what the airport has a capability in terms of load. And so she reached out to National Grid, and they're going to begin making that assessment. That's the first step. And then after that, once we kind of get feedback to know what we have here, we'll know what needs to be developed in order to build that out. It's quite possible we have enough for kind of the what they call slow charging EV chargers, which take 6 to 8 hours to charge a vehicle. So that's all the city of Beverly has right now. And the closest one to here is Electric Insurance over in the office park nearby, and that's only exclusively for the use of employees. So there, could be demand here, and whether it's pilots who need to charge their vehicle for a little while while they're flying, or like you say, the Saturday group who use the soccer fields. There's a possibility to get up to speed for again, the EV charging. EV is it's here. It's and they're building. I mean, Tesla just announced they're building out more infrastructure. So I think it behooves us to be on that curve. But also the inquiry that Arena's begun will also help us understand what we can do maybe in terms of aviation charging, we charge for aviation. And that's all to be explored next. And I think we have a meeting too with her, a follow-up to discuss more thoroughly.
Is this investigation in National Grid telling us what kind of power we have? Is this all strictly east side? Or is this something that we can look into both because the new
Yes.
flight level is?
Exactly. So that was, I pointed out to her that, we have two sides to the airport here, and it's also very important that we address what's going on out there, looking at it holistically. So yes, that is part of what we're going to be discussing.
Is that something we need to discuss with the town of Danvers?
That's a very good question, and again, that's something we're going to address in the follow-up meeting. The first step was, again, seeing what we have here. Next step is then, figuring out whose domain that is over there and getting that included in the assessment. So then we know that we have an accurate picture of what we have and whether or not we need to build out more infrastructure. But the city's very interested, obviously. Beverly's done a fantastic job bringing in, solar and EV charging, and so much so that we've used up all the solar credits. Because I was talking about solar, because Beverly High School, which has the solar, what do you call it, panels that are over the parking lot, is really, really successful. And you can actually track it online. There's a website. And it's fantastic stuff. It's just generating lots of electricity. They have a battery there that stores it and then sells, puts it back into the grid when there's demand for it and money from that. And so there's a lot to be discussed around that. The downside is that, as more solar gets installed, there are fewer incentives. The incentive, kind of decrease over time, but it doesn't mean that it can't be done. It also, because we've kind of locked up the solar market here in Beverly, we'd have to go outside to look for partners to deal with the tax credits. That's absolutely, that's doable. It's just a matter of doing it. And in terms of upfront costs or doing it, leasing it to a development company or taking it on ourselves, again, that's all things we need to discuss, despite whether or not, we missed out on the early benefits, being first adopters. They're still beneficial, and we just need to begin those discussions. But and that we cover when we have a meeting.
And we did bring this up with ASG as well in our meeting, finding lands that's, not really developable with hangars or anything else, but could be utilized for solar. Because Gabe was a big part of at his old airport, getting a huge solar field put in. So,
I think this is great. This is pretty neat stuff to see. One of the things it makes me think about with EV is that battery energy density is doubling every 7 years, and the interval's coming down. So for both cars and aircraft, they're looking at aircraft that can stay aloft for several hours, and that what's happening there is very quick. And you're looking at solid state batteries too. But is there a way to incorporate in what you guys are doing, looking at aircraft technology, electric planes, and a quarterly report on the advances and the viability, and maybe partner with a flight school or both flight schools, look down the road to, in regards to noise abatement, having our first electric trainers possibly. I'm sure Esteban and Paul know something about this, but showing the community.
Yeah, that's a part of the advanced air mobility. I'm reaching out to Beta, who is up in Burlington, and Joby so far. But it really, once we get that infrastructure question, I can answer some of they're gonna ask me,
Sure.
what do you have at the airport?
Not so much air mobility, but actually training aircraft.
Training, yeah, I was saying.
I don't know, do you guys know about planes that are being developed now for trainers? I know there's some out there.
Mascot will be at the air show with their first electric pipistrel.
Oh,
That's a train, two-seat trailer, they're gonna bring it via trailer here.
yeah, Europe is doing a lot of that.
So we're an airport in the region that is pushing this, actively talking about it,
Right.
working with the community, noise abatement, because that sound profile's gotta be dramatically different. You guys know
Yeah, I
that?
would say so, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if I'm stepping out of line or you don't think this is viable,
So it has its niche, it has its use for sure, it's definitely an advantage to, it does, the operating costs are phenomenal as compared to piston airplanes.
Yeah.
And of course, the sound reduction and the pollution reduction of an electric aircraft is definitely worth looking at. It would have its niche, for sure, in our training platform.
There's flight schools in Europe that have a fleet. You can kind of look at their statistic to see if it's viable. But to answer your question, it's there. I don't know many here in the United States yet.
Yeah.
But it needs to be at the forefront of that.
It seems like it will be shifting in time in the next,
Yeah.
decade or two that these will become.
Oh, and I should mention, behind the slides, there's probably a 30-page document on each one of these use cases that we're going to we're going to submit to Gabe as soon as we kind of get our footing a little bit, and that can be open to the public and you can read it. It's a living document that everyone can kind of challenge.
Bill?
Yeah, I just want to mention, tentatively, I got plans to fly out to Oshkosh this year. And one of my top issues is to research as much of the EV market is out there. And it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be there, so that's part of my mission for this summer. But it's a growing market niche, that's the way we should look at it. And I think it would be a very welcome market niche for all the positives it has compared to the negatives of, combustion-based aircraft. So I think it would be a good thing to do, and we'll find out.
Are there initiatives for putting in charging stations? Is there, what will
Well, that's what we were
the
looking at.
FAA
is-
budget, will that have something for,
It actually could, we don't know yet, but we have to put in that phone call. So once we understand what the infrastructure can take, if the good news is you have rapid, what is it, fast charging, right? That you can put that in, people will find you.
yeah,
The industry will find you, but until you have that kind of nailed,
But Beverly doesn't have that, they have one, they're going to be installing one, but it's been a long process of getting it. It's also rather expensive, what, $120,000 per unit, as opposed to, yeah. The slow chargers are about 5,000, between 5,000 and 6,000 all told.
why is that? Well, we shouldn't discuss it, we'll figure that out. We're gonna figure that out in the subcommittee, we'll let you know.
great,
We know what the deltas are and why.
That's great.
it looks fantastic. Okay.
So we'll be meeting probably in the next 2 weeks, and we'll have some answers, and we will update the documents, and once we have our mission statement all ready to go, we can release it. You can kind of track the progress.
Keep us posted on National Grid. I hope that happens sooner than later. I mean, like you're saying, if the FAA is coming out, if we can
Yeah.
get the ball rolling, we gotta start somewhere. So it all takes a long time, so. Anything else from the subcommittee?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to commissioner comments. I don't really have much to say. Thank you guys for all your incredible work on everything. I really appreciate it. It's incredible. And thank you for joining our team.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gillette, this is fantastic. Another energy into the group. It's amazing. So I'm really excited to see what you have to bring to the table. And, if you want to join some subcommittees and start your own, if you have any ideas, we're always open to new stuff. So.
There's open seats on the innovation committee.
There's
We're gonna
open
load you
seats
up.
everywhere.
But that's it for me. Any other miscellaneous commissioner comments?
I'd like to make a couple of quick comments. Okay, my strength is safety seminars, at least I think is my main mission. And we had a safety seminar back on May 2nd, which was focused on security. We didn't have quite a good turnout. I'm not sure if it was because of weather or because of the subject. The subject was security. And the crowd, or shall we say the audience that was here, really couldn't see the fit between this person's, shall we say, acute focus on security and Beverly. But we do have a concern here to some extent. So it went well. It was our third one. We have another one coming up in June. I presume the next one is going to pack to the rafters, which is emergency procedures, and everybody wants to know just an emergency. So that's it for me.
Fantastic.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just curious about Medley Road and the property up there, if there's anything happening up there. Is everything settled?
Yeah, for the most part, everything is settled there. I know Wayside Trailers, we're still working with them to get a lease nailed down. They're shuffling around their inventory over there. You'll see they, I believe, moved all of their trailers to one side of the road. They no longer occupy both sides. And then I also talked to the city. I think they're going to be consolidating some of their inventory over there as well.
Okay, and the 20 acres, 19 acres up there, anything happening with that?
So there's, I've gotten interest from developers about that as well. I've had a couple meetings regarding that. I now just think go to Anderson Krieger, our attorneys we have on retainer, and they've done RFP that they put together several years ago, so they'll work on updating that and then we can get that out. Yeah.
So things are percolating.
Yes, yeah.
Good, thank you.
And that was also included in the discussion with ASG on those 11 acres, you know, a vision for what could happen there. Yeah.
So it's not 20 acres?
No,
No,
I think it's technically
it's,
right.
so the total parcel is 11 acres. 5 of those acres are like heavily wooded area. So like the cleared area that you see right along the road is like 6 acres. Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Commissioner Castle, motion to adjourn, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Doxey seconds. We are adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Go Celtics.